This week on The Real Housewives of Atlanta.
You want to talk about those abortions you had when you was married? What did your day start? What did you say? Bitch, you can't even have a kid! You could never be me, bitch! Nobody wants to be you little hobbit.
Yo, what is up, everybody? Welcome back. Today we're going to be talking about The Real Housewives of Atlanta, recapping episode 16 of season 16. Let's get right into it. Listen, y'all, this was an episode. When I say an episode, I mean an episode. So let's get right into it. I could have sworn that they had said this was going to be the week of the finale. I thought it was just 16 episodes, the season was. I guess not. It'll be, next week will be the finale. But nevertheless, this was still a very interesting episode. So we begin the episode with Shamea and her babies, Shiloh and Shy, at the doctor's. It was so cute seeing them wait for the doctor in the little waiting room, and Shamea and the oldest daughter were singing along. I thought that was really cute. As we know, Shamea's daughter was sick while they were in Grenada, but Shamea says she is doing much better. But Shamea actually got strep throat when they came back, so her concern was not to get the baby sick. So they're here at the doctor. The doctor's asking questions, telling her what to do, and checking to see if the baby is okay. And Shamea's husband was not there, but he was there through FaceTime. I love to see that he seems to be very present with his daughters. Also, there's an update. So remember when Shamea chose a lady that was going to be their surrogate, and we saw it on camera? So they actually went through with it. They had a transfer with her, but it failed. And now they've sort of decided to pause on that for now, which I think is probably a good idea just for now. So the doctor checked and the baby didn't have strep throat, so Shamea didn't give it to her, so everything is good. All right, then we head over to Phaedra's house, and we see her two sons, and there was a guy there as well. You know, the way it looks to me, I feel like the oldest son looks just like Apollo, whereas the youngest one looks just like Phaedra. That's, like, in my opinion, that's how I see it. Like, I see both sons looking like each parent. So the little one, Dylan, he's actually sewing. He's using a sewing machine, making some pants because he wants to get into fashion. He really likes it. And this started because he wanted a pair of bell bottoms, but because he's very little, they didn't have any that were his size. So he decided to make his own. Aiden, he's older, but he's also very smart, and, you know, he was talking about he wanted to be his brother's manager and represent him. Phaedra has like a partnership with The Vault, a fashion place that we actually saw on Married to Medicine. They have a lot of like fashionable pieces and coats and things like that. So Phaedra is going to let Dylan showcase his work at The Vault, and he seems so excited, and I think that's great. One thing that I love about Phaedra is the way she's raised her kids. She is raising her kids by letting them have big visions for themselves and actually help them execute it, and I think that is so powerful, and I think that she is doing a great job, and these boys are going to do great things in the future because they're really smart for their age, you know. All right, so moving right along, Kelli is on her way to court. It's her final court date. They have to deal with financial and custody matters as well as division of assets. So we see her go in. No cameras were allowed during the trial, so then we see her come out. Then later that night, she's at her house. We see her talk to her cousin about what happened today. So what happened was they weren't able to get divorced. It wasn't able to be finalized. They went into overtime and needed a continuance. She was really looking forward to have this be her final day. Like, she wanted to be divorced and just get it all over with. So then Kelli's new bestie comes on over, Shamea. So Kelli says, I'm not divorced, and he's in jail now. I was like, what? So her ex is in jail for not paying child support. He'd already been there before for the exact same thing, which I think is like so dumb. Like, dang, just pay. it was nice to see that as Shamea is here with Kelli, Kelli gets a phone call from Angela, actually. And she just says, like, hey, just wanted to check in and see how you were doing. I know that today was a really important day for you. So that was nice. And then Shamea says, that's so sweet that Angela called. That's so sweet. It really shows that she cares. What about Britt? Has Britt reached out? And I was like, you see, Shamea searched the pot. That's what I'm starting to notice. And Kelli says, no, Britt hasn't spoken to me since we left Grenada. Kelli says that she's shocked because they were such great friends and she's always been there for her. And they show clips of their friendship through this season. And yes, they started off being very close, attached to the hip. But to be honest, seeing those clips that they showed from them at the very beginning of the season, it actually made me look at like Kelli sideways, because it's like, well, y'all did have this great friendship, but then you are the one that like made things weird over a freaking glam team. You know what I mean? Like, yes, I do think Kelli might have been expecting Britt to reach out regardless of what their little hiccup has been. But like, are you really surprised that Britt didn't reach out to you like after everything that happened? But to be fair, I do think Britt should have reached out, because she does know how important this is for Kelli and how tumultuous this whole divorce has been. So then we see Phaedra sent out invitations to the fashion event, and she sent some great invitations had them delivered to their homes, all of the women, and it had actual like pieces of fashion, which I thought was an amazing touch. Moving on, we have a very nice pop-up event where Kelli is going to be doing some cooking. She invited Phaedra, Drew, and Angela. Just these three, because she wants to kind of connect with them specifically in a different way. And I do get that. I think it's totally understandable how, like, you sometimes want to hang out with, like, lesser people to, have a different connection or get to know them at a different level as opposed to being all in the same group. So they're here for Kelli, but Charles is there as well, and they're going to do like a little bit of a cook-off, Kelli versus Charles, like, see who cooks the best, but just, good energy, good vibes. He said that he's here for the challenge, he's ready, and they decided to cook waffles, and the ladies loved both of them. They said both of them were very good. So then we head over to Britt's house, and she has Cynthia come over, and Porsha comes over as well. I will say, I noticed that Cynthia seems to really like Britt. Like, she just really connected with Britt right away. So Britt invited them, and she actually did it because, remember when they were at the trip, Phaedra was the one who told Britt, like, if you're a housewife, you need to invite people, you need to have events, you have to do this, you have to have them over to your house, have a charcuterie board ready for them, like drinks, like, you gotta be prepared. Britt took that advice. But my thing is, how are you just now getting this advice? Like, during the last 2 episodes of the season, you would think that if you're going to be a full-time real housewife, you would already know that, or you would have asked. I don't know. I think it's kind of crazy that she's just doing it now. But anyway, she's doing it. So they're hanging out and whatnot. Britt tells them what's going on with her and Kelli, which essentially is Kelli told her team that she doesn't want any of them to work with Britt. Britt says it's all because of what happened in Nashville. When they were in Nashville, Kelli felt like she got the short end of the stick, meaning Kelli felt like the glam squad was doing a great job with Britt, but a really bad job with Kelli. And listen, Kelli might be right, because some of the outfits she'd be wearing this season have been horrific, whereas Britt has had some good looks, so maybe it's true. So Porsha says, listen, when you have a freaking frack, there should never be any jealousy between you two. And I do agree with that. And I think that between, like, the OG freaking frack, Phaedra and Porsha, I don't think there was they like have ever been jealous of each other in that type of way. Whereas with Shamea and Porsha, I do think there has been jealousy, hence why there's been issues in their friendship. But Britt drops a bomb that, well, guess what? Kelli is now letting Shamea use her glam. What? But there's more tea. So Britt tells Porsha that Shamea has said a lot of things about Porsha. And Porsha's like, wait, what? Like, we already fixed her issue. But Britt says, Shamea has said so many things, and she showed me messages between you and her. Something about you and your attorney, So I just want to let you know that I have seen all your messages between you and her. And Porsha says in her confessional that this actually wasn't something about her and her lawyer. It was something about her and her therapist. So she feels like Shamea showing somebody else what she very intimately had spoken about with her therapist, showing it to someone else, she feels like that's crossing a whole other line. And she's right about that. She is. Okay, so let's get back to the cooking event. So the ladies, they're here eating their waffle with their warm syrup, warm butter. All of a sudden, some random named Marcus, goes up to Angela and he's like, hey, can we talk, like, to the side? I need to tell you something that you might want to know about your husband. Whoa. Listen, I love the drama, but when they got these thirsty people trying to come on camera over here trying to get a moment, creating a moment, I don't like that. It reminds me of that guy who was on Married to Medicine claiming he slept with Lisa Nicole's husband. Like, it just feels so thirsty and So this Marcus guy is here. Angela obviously wasn't going to entertain him, but then he goes to the side with his other friends and he's like, cheers if your name is Angela and your husband is cheating on you. Lord, what the hell? Some of the women were wondering, like, did Charles, like, hear that? Some of them think he didn't because he didn't react. So maybe he didn't hear it. Who knows? But where did this guy come from? But one thing all three of the ladies agreed with was that this guy shouldn't have been there in the first place, saying all this. So then they leave the event. But Phaedra, she just can't hold it. She gets in her car and she calls Porsha. Porsha's at Brit's, remember? So Phaedra's like, y'all, hold on to your panties. So we were at Strawberry Shortcake's cooking event. And some man goes up to Angela to say, your husband is cheating. And all three of them, Cynthia, Brit, and Porsha, were like, what? They're like, what did Angela say? What did Charles say? So Phaedra is giving them the rundown. So it's a new day. Phaedra is at the vault, getting everything ready for the event, setting up everything. But then Porsha calls her to let her know that she will not be attending her event because her cousin Londi died. I remember Londi. She was so young. I was so shocked. We actually saw her on an episode this season not too long ago when Porsha had her Pampered by Porsha event. I was shocked. Porsha seems very sad. She says that Londi was like the backbone of the family. Like she helped with the grandparents and she was just a great person. That was really sad to hear. Very tragic. So Porsha's calling her to let her know she won't be there because of this. And Phaedra's like, totally understand, my condolences. I'm here for you. And yeah, my heart goes out to Porsha's entire family because that's sad. Absolutely sad. But the event continues. I liked Phaedra's outfit. I didn't like that the back of it was a little bit too low and it started to show some body parts on the back, which I think is a little trashy from the back, but the front, the hat, I thought it was great. So Cynthia, listen, everyone's arriving and whatnot, but Cynthia is putting the work in as being a friend of the show. So she's asking Angela, so, what happened the other day? So Angela's telling her about the guy who came up to her. As she's telling this story, though, that's the moment where Brit walks in. She says hi to everybody. She says, hi, Kelli. Silence. So she says it again. Hi, Kelli. But again, Kelli doesn't respond and doesn't say anything, which I think is rude. I think that when you are incapable of saying hi when someone just came into a room and greeted you, no matter how mad you are at them, it shows that you have no common courtesy and you have no manners. Just say hi and then walk away. I just think it's like I don't know. She could have just said hi. Anyway, everybody is there. Not Porsha, obviously, because what we just heard. Drew is running late, but Angela does say that she stays connected in these streets. She's got people, so she did some investigation because they're not the people to be played with. Long story short, she found out that this man was paid to be at Kelly's event. Apparently, he was paid by some man. Who was that man? We don't know yet. But anyway, you guys, Kelli was doing the most, and she was getting on my nerves, so she says, maybe he was paid by the people who weren't at my event. Girl. So Britt's like, well, we were all at my house. So then Kelli says to Cynthia, She let you into her house? And Britt says to Kelli, you can address me. I know that it's difficult for you to do that. So then this turns into a back and forth. And it got intense real quick. Because Britt says to her, you don't have to be passive aggressive. And Kelli's like, I'm not passive, I'm aggressive. And Britt says, I've never seen you get aggressive. Cynthia kind of had to get in there to, make sure Britt didn't get too close. And Kelli says, I'm the mighty wolf. So Britt calls her insecure. Kelli says, I'm insecure, but you want to use my team? Britt says, yeah, the team that you begged for me to work with because you always need a sidekick. She says that Kelli felt insecure at Nashville, even though it was her idea to share the glam squad. So then Phaedra is in the middle of all this. She's trying to break them up. So Kelli says to her, come get your pill-popping roommate. Oh, not pill-popping. Britt says, well, the stylist said that you looked a mess. Which is true. But this is where Britt, y'all, she didn't take it low. She didn't go low. She didn't take it to the gutter. She took it to the core of the crust of the deepest parts of Earth. She said, you don't want to talk about the abortions you had when you were married. Kelli lost it. She says, you can't even have a kid. You will never be me. And Britt says, I don't want to be you little hobbit. Oh my goodness, this was nasty, you guys. It was nasty. Kelli was screaming. She was so mad. That was intense. Drew was late, as I said. The doors were locked, so she had to stand outside for quite a while. She says there was a lot of traffic, which might be true, although everybody else was in there, but she did have the pictures to prove it. And she actually got a chicken wing from a security officer. So they continue on with the show, and then they actually let the people that were late come in. So Drew comes in, and we saw Sweet Tea make an appearance. So then so there was these different models, different pieces, but Phaedra's boys were the ones that closed the show, and Aiden was wearing the pants he made, and those pants that he made were fire. He needs to keep working on this because, mind you, he's a kid. I can't even imagine what he'll do if he continues as he gets older. He's got talent. So after the show, people start to shop around the vault. As everybody is shopping, Shamea says to Britt, why didn't you call her after her court case? Britt says, okay, to be honest, it's because I cannot be fake. At that point, I had already heard from multiple people that Kelli had already talked to them about me. So yeah, I can't be fake, and I'm not calling her, even if it's her court date. Which, again, right? Maybe not. Understandable? Yes. But Phaedra then gathers all the ladies, and she tells them that the reason why Porsha is not here is because her cousin Londi passed away. Shamea didn't seem to know. She broke into tears. No one knew. Nobody knew other than Phaedra, so they all were very sad. It is sad. But that was the end of the episode. Listen, you guys, once again, I do want to say rest in peace to Londi. Gone too soon, for sure. Very sad. Very, yeah, just very, very tragic, very sad. But this was a good episode. Britt, she's been holding it down these past 3 episodes, standing up for herself. So that's why I still can't believe she didn't go to the reunion. That, her saying about the abortion thing, I thought was just so low. But Kelli was, I hate to say it, but Kelli was going low too. She started by saying the whole pill popping, and I don't know, y'all. In the words of Nene, I'm tired. I'm so tired. But you guys let me know what your thoughts were on this Kelli and Britt thing. Let me know, you guys. As I said, next week is the finale. I can't wait. It looks like it's going to be an explosive finale. So y'all let me know. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll catch y'all next time. Y'all have a great one. Bye.